If you're completely overwhelmed with managing your content and business and all of the different tasks you have to juggle on a daily, then I've got just a tool for you. Here's the ultimate Asana tutorial where you'll learn exactly how to use Asana in 2023. Ready? Let's do this. Hi my lovely people, it's Natalia and welcome back to my channel where I help you create better content and grow on social media. I often hear how small business owners and new creators are overwhelmed with all the content they need to produce and all the urgent tasks that just keep piling up. And as much as I can relate, I believe the number one reason why it's happening is that they don't have a system in place to organize their day-to-day activities and have a clear and efficient workflow to support everything they do in business. Today, I'm going to show you one of my absolute favorite apps to manage all of your projects and finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that everything important gets taken care of, including those big goals that you've been putting off. It's called Asana, and I'll show you how to set it up very quickly to manage all of your tasks today. Let's jump in. So the first thing you want to do is to go to asana.com and create an account. Now, if you click pricing, you'll see that Asana has all the different pricing tiers, but the free version is absolutely amazing and way beyond some of the other project management tools out there. So just click get started in here and enter your email address. Now, I highly recommend you actually join with your custom domain email rather than a Gmail or Yahoo email address, because Asana will automatically recognize you as an organization. And this means you'll be able to create separate teams, which is a fantastic addition to organize your whole account and manage projects even better. Now, a custom domain email means that you have your own website like mine, nataliakalinska.com, and a few different email addresses that are connected to it. So in my case, that would be hello@nataliakalinska.com, and that's the email address that I'll want to use for this setup. Now, from here, you'll be able to either try premium for free or just continue with basic. I'm just going to sign up like this, and you'll be prompted to complete the setup with your areas of work and a goal, plus add your first project. Once you have your account, before we manage anything else, I want you to go and adjust the settings. So step number 2, profile settings. First, you can update your profile, which is super important to easily manage tasks within the team, since when you assign a task, a small profile picture of the assignee shows right next to it, and it's important for the projects as well. Same goes for the name, of course. I'm just going to say Amelia since I want this to be distinguished from my actual account. I've got a different account in here, but this is just for the presentation. And of course, you can update all the other details in here too. These are quite important if you're working in bigger organizations, but I won't dwell too much here since it's going to be very individual to you. You'll find some very fun things in here, especially in the display tab as well, where you can personalize the look of your Asana. Step number 3, create a team. Now we're ready to create our very first team, and this is done from the left panel in here. Now, the way you set it up, of course, is very much unique to you, but I like to think of the teams as parts of my business. So if you have a sales team, if you have a marketing team, you do the exact same thing for your Asana. So click on the plus sign right next to teams, go to new team, and from here, you can choose the name. I'll go for admin first, and from the bottom in here, you can invite your members. So I'll go for Natalia just because it's my domain name, so it pulls up all of the different people in my account. I can just choose myself in here, but this is exactly why it's so important to set up your profile in your settings first. So don't worry, of course, if you don't have all of your team members in Asana for now, it will be absolutely fine to just add them later on, whether it's a team, a project, we'll talk about it down the line. But if you're an individual, a solopreneur, I would still very much set up my account into those separate team categories. One, because I feel like it helps organize everything much better and improves the workflows. And 2, since you want to be thinking ahead and setting your business up for success in the future. You never know when you'll need to work with more than just yourself. And if your business scales and you're managing a team, it's so much more time consuming to rework your whole system. That's my very small tip for you here. Think as your future self and not just as your current self. So some examples of the teams I would suggest including as a creator or as a small business owner would be admin like this one, or operations for managing your day-to-day running of the business. You can have marketing to efficiently plan and create your content, your campaigns, collaborations, or your launches. You can have products or services depending on what your business is based around, or both, and team or HR for your kind of onboarding processes, company info, your tools and resources, and personal development, for example. We've got the team set up right now, so let's click Create My Team. And this is how you can now create your first project. You can start one from the projects tab here in the middle, but I want you to know how you can do it from any of the different views. So you can go to your team and here in the left panel and go for create project. Now from here, you can start one from scratch. You can start one from import if you're switching from a different software like Trello, for example, or you can just use a template. Now from here, you can go to custom and toggle that view to all types, and you'll see all the amazing templates that Asana has to offer for all the different categories. I think they're really good. They're really great to kind of help you get inspired by different workflows. But for now, I'll go for a blank project straight away so that you know exactly how to do it yourself step by step, since you may already have great workflows that Asana can just help support. Now, my first project is going to be weekly planning. And that's going to work for all of my Sunday sessions where I identify my priorities for the week, where I plan all my urgent tasks and plan and make sure that I'm setting myself up for success each week. Now, select the team from here. I'm going to stick for admin for now, and then privacy is going to be public. Now, it's worth mentioning in here that you can have private projects for yourself as well, which is a super cool option if you also want to manage some private errands from within Asana, or for personal development, for example, like your habit tracker, that can still be tied to your business side of things. Very, very versatile tool. Now, from here, you can choose 4 different views for the projects, 3 if you're a free user, which I'll explain in just a moment in greater detail. But for the planning sessions, I like to use a board view as a default. Now, let's click continue from here and let's start adding new tasks. So I'll go to project in here. Before we even start adding any tasks, I want you to adjust some crucial settings. So step number 5, project settings. From here, we can just go to the very top and click on the project icon. We can choose a color and choose an icon that best represents what you'll do here. Now, this is the habit that I want you to get into. And again, I highly recommend you do it since it's going to color code your tasks, make them easier to identify, and help you maneuver between the projects better. Now, from here at the very top, you can star your project to add it to your favorites, which then creates a new panel in here and helps you navigate between your most used projects, which is super cool. Now, if you click the arrow right next to the name, you have tons of different options like the project link. You've got duplication, export, moving to another team, which is very useful when a different team is taking over a project. You also can edit project details at the top, where you can add a description and a due date if it's a time restricted project, which is very, very useful. Now, let's go back to step number 6, project views. Now, one of my absolute favorite things about Asana is the fact that you can switch between different views. Now, even though we've chosen board as a default view, we can still click different views, which is amazing for different people within the team who prefer to work differently. Now, first we have overview, which is where the project description lives. You've got the roles as well as status updates, which can be added from the very top in here. Now, this is a super neat feature that lets you update your team on the progress and the status of your project. Now, if other team members have tasks that depend on each other, they may not necessarily know how the team members are doing. So it's a fantastic way to kind of keep everyone focused and in the loop. Now, at the top, you can also click remind me to update every Friday, which turns on the notifications to update the status, reminds you to communicate with the team, and keeps you accountable. Okay, let's post it from the very top. And as you can see, the status is updated in the right panel. Back to the overview. Below, there are some crucial resources like a project brief, for example. You've got your links and files, and honestly, gone are the days of having a very long to-do list with all the other important bits scattered around your computer, your phone, your Google Drive. You've got, random notes on your phone by the desk, and different emails as well. You can now attach all the crucial files from within Asana so that you yourself and all of your team members can have instant access to them. We also have the list view from the very top. This is for a super easy breakdown. Now we've got the board view, you know so well from Trello or Kanban style management systems. Then we've got calendar for a dated plan. Then we've got premium views like timeline, like workflow, and dashboard for insights. We also have messages in here for all the project communications. You can see my update in here. And the last view, which is files, again, to view all of the important assets for the project. Another great thing about these views is the flexibility within projects that really supports different stages of the workflow. So for example, let me create a new project from here and I'll create a content calendar. If you're dealing with content, you may be operating from a calendar view as a default. But of course, when you're brainstorming, for example, the list view might be much better to just churn out all of the different ideas from here. And then the board view is fantastic for moving the individual pieces of content from stage to stage. So from the idea stage through creating and then to the published stage. Now, this is very important. And again, I feel like Asana has it all thought out for us already. Let's go back to the weekly planning board. Let's go to list. And from here, I'll show you all the different options below the view. So of course, you can add a task, more on that in a moment. Then you can filter, which is super useful if you want to focus on any incomplete tasks, for example. You can also sort tasks from here by specific field, and you can also hide different types of fields that you don't want to see in this project view. And from here, of course, you need to just make sure that you're saving the project in here so that this view every time appears as it is. Now, as you can see, every single project has these different preset sections, which you can just rename from here like this, or you can just delete them from the burger menu like that. Now, you can also drag to change the position of these sections like this, or you can add a section from here, for example. Now, of course, all of this works the same in the list view or in the timeline view. You've got the add section in here, or you can just kind of drag and reposition the different sections. Now, we can add another section not only from here at the bottom, but you can also toggle the burger menu, add a section from here, or you can just click Tab N. Now, I also want to briefly mention customization, which is here in the top right corner. Now, although the majority of the different functionalities here are premium only, I won't discuss them in this video for that reason, but there's one that is super, super useful and can be missed among all the other features, and that's apps. Now you can introduce a few basic integrations to the projects. You can add things like Google Drive, Zoom, Teams, Slack, and my all-time favorite, Notion, where I personally store all of my content. So this means I can just easily connect the two, and that is a super useful option. From here, you can click Add to Project like this. You can just connect the two by logging in. But of course, I won't be able to show you any of this unless we actually create our own first task. So step number 7, create a new task in Asana. Now you can add a new task from the button here at the top. You can click a plus sign right next to a section or add a task below an existing one. There are always multiple ways of adding things in Asana, so that's super easy to operate within it. Now, when you're brainstorming or when you're task dumping, you can quickly keep kind of typing the different ideas and keep hitting enter to add one task after another. But what do we have within? Well, a ton of gold. This is where the Asana magic really happens. Now, all of these top properties in here are called fields. Now, the first one, we have the assignee. You can just assign someone to it and remove that person with this cross. And from here, I can also assign myself, in which case another section appears right next to it, which is a section of my tasks. Again, I'll just explain that in a moment. This is an incredible feature that you definitely need to know about, so stay with me for this one. Below is where you assign a due date. I can just set it for today. And at the very bottom, you've got time, and you can set a recurring task from here, which, by the way, Asana does really, really well. Next, we've got the projects that the task is assigned to. In this case, this is a content calendar, but check this out. Asana actually lets you assign a task to multiple projects at once, which is beyond useful. It's actually crucial to managing all of those tasks differently. Now, let me me give you an example. Each week you have content to create and schedule. Now within your weekly planning board, you could have a separate section in here to reference that content and then to spread it out across the week. If you could only choose one project, it wouldn't really be possible to reference it like this, and yet Asana lets you do it. Now the quickest way for this workflow would be to just go to the list view of your content calendar like this. Make sure that your projects are visible. So I'll go to the hide tab in here at the top and toggle this one project. And from here in the corner, you also just need to make sure that the save is enabled like this. And I can just quickly add this to the weekly planning board like this when I'm selecting the content for the week. It all instantly updates across different projects and tasks. So you can just go back to the weekly view and voila, it's all there. Of course, this is quite an elaborate example, but think of all the different tasks that can belong to different projects. Now, as a separate project, for example, you could be working on a new product that's also a part of a launch that belongs to the marketing team. In business, it's often kind of all interconnected, and Asana really understands it well. Now let's move on to another field that is for now not visible in this view. Let's go to the burger menu and add tasks. From here, this is where it appears, and it's another very useful field that helps you kind of maneuver your projects even better. These are less strict than our fields, and they can be really used across all of the different teams and projects. So these are assigned to kind of the different organizations. Now you could use them to indicate urgent tasks or meetings, for example, something like high priority in here. You can also, again, set priority like this. You can mark a platform you're creating content for example. These can be pretty messy in general if you keep creating the different tags, but also because they're not as formal, you can have so many different types of tags. And the good thing is that they are searchable, just like other projects. You can just quickly pull up the tag that you want. Next, we've got the two integrations that we added from the customize panel. So this is not a standard unless you enable these apps within a project. But to show you what it does and how cool it is, you can just quickly type in any file from here. Let's say Asana, and you can just attach it here like this. Now with Notion, it works slightly different. I actually have to paste the link to a page that gets linked in here. And as someone who really manages all of my content in Notion, this is a godsend feature since I can reference specific content pieces during my task planning and access them very easily later on. Now, at the moment, as you can see, there are some issues in general with syncing Asana with Notion. I think it's an ongoing problem. However, you can still actually click on this and that will open up a link for you. So that's not a problem. In general, this is what I use it for. Now, below you have a test description, which is very, very important for clear communication. This also doubles down as a space of infinite possibility since you can literally do anything in here. And coming from a content perspective, again, I can format this space to create sections where I can create a title, write my captions, I can add hashtags, I can link to, Instagram Reels, audios, and so much more. This space also lets you mention someone. So for example, you can mention a whole team, a task, a project, a message, and so much more. So for example, I can just add it in here like this. Now you can embed a Canva design, you can embed a YouTube video or a tweet, or even record a mini kind of recording of yourself straight into the task, which is mind-blowing. Think of the ways that you can actually manage your team with this. For example, if you've got a new team member, every time you assign a new task that's something that they've not done before, you can just give them a brief tutorial and you don't have to be there kind of physically with them to show them how it's done. This is just a brief showcase of what you can actually do within Asana. Within the description of the task, you've got the title, you've got kind of the breakdown, you've got the different bullet points in here. I've referenced another task within Asana that can actually quickly tick from here as well. I've got an embed of my previous video. So all of these different things you can actually do in here. Now, wait, there's actually so much more. You can add a subtask for each of the tasks. They can be multiple since so often it's a series of tasks that you need to complete before the whole thing can be crossed off the list or ticked off in this case. And the subtasks act practically identically to the main task. So for example, I want to say write a script in here. And from here, if I just tap on this task like this, I have the same things in here. You can see that I can assign this task to different people. I can have due dates, descriptions. I can add more subtasks in here. But let's go back for now and let's scroll to the very bottom. And in here, you have a whole section for communicating. From here, you can add comments. I'll talk about it in just a second. But the important part in here is that you can also attach a file or paste an image. And this way, it just appears in here and it can be downloaded straight from Asana. And of course, every time you do something within the task, the updates are posted automatically, which keeps everyone in the loop. You can also add your own comments if you have a question or want to mention someone. You can all of these amazing things again from here, just like I've shown you before. And showing appreciation is quite a cool feature in here as well. Now, let's not forget the little icon below, which actually lets you add collaborators. It works almost like a CC on an email, which loops people in. So if I want to add another person in here, they will know exactly kind of what's going on with the important stuff within the task, and they'll be notified of all those updates too. Now, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but there's still more to this. At the top, you've got icons. All of those in here are very crucial for quick actions, like again, marking the whole thing as complete. You can just like a video, you can attach, add subtasks, and quickly kind of copy the link in here just to reference it to other people. You can make a task bigger, and you can also hit this lovely burger menu, which I've shown you before, and it hides even more stuff. So from here, you can enable tags as I've shown you before, but you can also add another project too. You can create a follow-up task, merge duplicates. Each of these tasks can actually be converted to a whole project or a subtask. It can be duplicated, printed, and finally, of course, it can be deleted. Now, the most important thing, of course, about each of the tasks is how you can actually complete it, which you can either do here like this, or if I go back to the screen, you can actually just tick it off the list. Now, once you do, you get a fun animation from time to time as a reward for a job well done. As a default, the completed tasks stay visible, just changing the color slightly across different views. But if you don't want to see them, just filter them out from here at the top. And of course, once you're done, don't forget to save the setting from here. Now, I feel like I've covered so much. I hope by now you're just as much in awe of Asana as I was when I first discovered it years ago. But get ready to have your mind blown again. So step number 8, my tasks. The biggest pain point with managing the workload is remembering it all and having a smooth workload to always know what you have to do on any given day. Now, from here, enter the My Tasks view. This is where Asana's biggest advantage lies. Asana automatically pulls all of the different tasks that are assigned to you, which means that every single day you have a perfectly organized to-do list just for you. And it's so good. Now, every time a task gets assigned to you, it sits in the recently assigned section. And from here, you can move it to one of the standard sections, or you can customize them to suit the way you like to work. Now, the best part is that you can actually add rules that automatically arrange the tasks for you depending on their due dates. For example, in the today section, you can add a rule for all the different tasks with today as their due date, and that will trigger an automation and move the task to this section straight away. So I'll create the rule in here. You can set up these rules for upcoming tasks in the next section. For example, upcoming tasks this week for all the tasks with a date out in 7 days, for this month's tasks, etc. With Premium, you're actually able to create custom rules, which gives you even more power over what you can do here. You can view my tasks from the list view. You can view them from the board view. You can view them from the calendar view, which is super useful. You can also toggle it to a month view, and they're all beautifully color coded. And of course, at the very end, you can also see all of the different files that were attached for all those different tasks, which is super convenient for you. There's also an option to sync your tasks to a calendar like a Google Calendar, iCal, Outlook, and so much more. It's all so insanely good at keeping you on track, keeping you accountable, and you're always on top of all of your priorities. So let's move on to step number 9, inbox, and home. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to briefly show you these 3 spaces in here. The first one is the homepage, where you'll always be welcomed with a summary of your current achievements. You'll be able to see any of the upcoming, overdue, and completed tasks at a glance. You can quickly access a project, and you can also see your frequent collaborators. Now, within Customize, you can also add a notepad for any of your kind of private virtual scribbles that you want to have at hand. Now, the Inbox tab, which is the third one in here, is your place to get up to speed with what's been happening within your teams and across the different projects. You'll be able to send messages and see what you've already sent. You can see the archive and view important notifications. And a cherry on an already super sweet top, the whole Asana is actually searchable, meaning that you can instantly pull up teams, projects, you can pull up tags, for example, individual tasks, subtasks. Tell me if this whole thing isn't the near perfect system to finally tame the chaos within your business and stop being overwhelmed. Now, all of this for free. I've not even touched on the incredible capabilities that the premium plan has. If you have any questions at all, drop them down below. I'm genuinely always trying to help as much as possible in the comments. Make sure you watch this playlist next to organize your business and content even better, and give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful to you. Subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.